going to stream. Yes, I am. It's always asking me that every
Pretty
day.
sure. Pretty sure.
Right,
Two-factor authentication.
right. Okay, we are live.
All
Woohoo!
right. Welcome, everyone, to episode 14 of the podcast Unlimited Wisdom with Robert Hollis. I'm Craig A. Jackman, along with Matthew Hollis, and we are so glad to have you with us today. And today, on episode 14, lots of things we've been talking about here in Unlimited Wisdom and the Hollis organization and out there with everything going on. But it's a really good topic for today called the best investment you can make.
Nice.
Isn't
Good,
that
good
a lot of
topic
things we
after the
can?
trust yesterday. You know.
Yeah, a
Yeah.
lot of
Yeah.
things that we can really go on. So let's get started. Robert, Matthew, welcome. Very
Thanks,
excited for this
Craig.
topic.
Well, thanks, Craig, and thanks, Matthew. It's great to have you guys both on here. And, you know, it'll go down in history that Hannah Hollis, inspired me on some other ways. And I'd like to just start off this by talking about, hey, we did a video called Trust How to Build Trust in Yourself. Man, I've mastered so many areas of my life, but this investing bullshit has just been um it's
Up and
not been
down.
good to me. It hasn't been good to me. I've done partnerships with people. I've invested in companies. I've created companies. I've tried. Geez, man, I should be beating myself up. Listen, my words, you guys. I beat you up because you say negative shit, and you're hearing me do it. Right? It's like do not trust myself. I'm always thinking that there's something wrong. And then when I do something, I immediately have buyer's remorse. And so it's like bizarre. So my son, of course, and Craig's known me for years, and my son's known me his whole life. It's like the one thing I do have down is the people business. I
Right.
I I can create cash flow. Um, I'm not the best. There's a lot of people better than me, but I can go from zero to hero. I mean, like, my recent venture, make 4.87 million for my wife and Hollis organization that Matthew's a part of and do that in 6 years. There's, I guess I need to pat myself on the back a little bit. There's no many people that can do that. And the benefits behind that is that when you have 10,000 people or more responsible for your income, now it's not only compounding, leveraging, and then you also have residual. And so these are things I learned from people that were smarter than me. And that's the things I decided to focus on and put my 10,000 hours in. And all of a sudden, I mean, with real estate, with any other way, I went to Chat GPT after I heard Hannah influence Matthew. So it's like, we do understand there's this thing called FOMO, right? And like it's like Hannah's like, look it, and it doesn't make a difference what it is. All you got to do is show the app and it's got green on it. And it's like, damn it, you're making money and I'm not. You know what I mean? So, Matt did it. And then after Matt did it, I was going, I don't know if I need this as a distraction right now. That was the deal. I was going, Matt and I have been talking about stocks, and every one of you have heard this. We brought it up on our inner circle and our imaginator. There's not a person on the frickin' planet that hasn't heard this statement. Can you imagine if you bought Apple at the beginning? Can you imagine if you bought Microsoft at the beginning? What if you bought, and everyone's doing this what if thing, but it's all based on imagination. But then what really kicks our ass is when you hear the figure. You know what I mean? Did you know if you bought $100 in Apple stock today, you would be worth 3.4 billion? And it's like, shut the hell up. Shut up. Shut up. I don't
Yeah.
need to know about a mistake that I made that's haunting me every day. so
Oh
so
boy.
I just wanted to start that out because I don't mind being bold about it. I gave a bunch of money. Everyone was telling me about crypto during COVID, like Bill Gill. I mean, sorry, Keith Gill did with the dumb money video. But I always look for signs. You know what I mean? So while Matt was saying he was going to do this, and I sort of thought, man, is this the direction I'm supposed to go? A Neil Ram trader doesn't have any money investments at all. He goes, hey, have you ever seen this movie, Dumb Money? And I went, wow, if you're going to watch a couple of scenes of it, the trailer made me pretty interested. And I watched it and I went, I'm done. I'm all in. You know what I mean? And it was that inspirational story of Dumb Money. Well, not only did I create an account, but then, of course, my wife wanted one. and it's like, I didn't even sign up my wife underneath my referral link. And so the reason that I'm bringing this up is the thing that can really, for you to invest in you, for you to invest in you, and just stop second guessing. I gave $100,000 to a money manager, and you know, it was right before the COVID thing or during the COVID thing. You know, 100 grand went down to 25 grand. I freaked out and I pulled out. And when I think about that, I sold all my money. I got all out of the stock market. If I would have left it there, if I would have left that money there, that 100 grand would be 300 grand a day. But I panicked. I didn't trust myself. Everybody else, I'm watching bullshit opinions on TV. And it's like, the sky is falling. The sky is falling. And they're going to hack all these, you know, hack all our electricity grids. And where are we going to be without electricity? You know what I mean? It's like, sell everything and go into gold. You know, we're never coming out of COVID. You know, another party like it's 1999. You know what I mean? We hear this all over. I want to be brutally honest. I fell into it. And right before that, everybody said, oh my God, you know, the company I work with, they put this new platform together. And I heard everything. And, you know, Josh, he told me some of the big benefits he made off buying crypto. And so we brought in this guy named Todd Humphreys. He told me everything that I needed to do. And I said, I'm done. I'm going in, all in. So I was the individual that bought Bitcoin at 62,000. You know what I mean? And then it went to 19,000. So what's the moral of the story? Is just saying all this negative stuff to yourself to not trust yourself. So everybody went, wow, that was a stupid move. I didn't check Bitcoin today, but the highs are over 62 now. So what is that? If I would have just walked away from it. So I'm telling you guys, I'm learning from my mistakes. I'm going to trust in the information that I hear from Matthew, and I'm going to trust in the information and the bravery and the courage of Hannah. And I'm going to do exactly what that Dumb Money does. I'm not buying any other stock other than NVIDIA. And I'm going to tell the world, I did my second day of investment video today, and I'm not going to get out this time. Diamond hands, HDL or whatever. But yeah, the whole goal is to give people hope. Just, you know, get them to invest in their own trust, because the one thing you guys know is when you get to show your portfolio and then other people don't have one, that's sort of an edge up. I don't know that there's a lot of people that are like wanting to show people off, you know, but it's really, really fun to me when someone says, what's going on? And I say, here's what's going on. And I know that people get a little pissed off when they say, well, you know what? It's not all about money. You're absolutely right. It's about joy. It's about peace of mind, and it's about freedom. That's what it's about. So Joe Rogan said it best. I always want to give him credit because someone asked him, you know, would you tell me about Joe Rogan prior to his podcast? And he said a person living paycheck to paycheck didn't know when he was going to get an extra fear factor. No one knows this, but Joe Rogan actually had his own little sitcom. So when is someone going to pull the plug on the sitcom? When is someone going to pull the cord on fear factor? You know, when is someone going to say one day, we'd like somebody else to do the commentating for the UFC? See, those things are not in your control. His podcast is in his control. And he said the difference between old Joe Rogan and new Joe Rogan is every day I wake up, I get to do what I want when I want. I get to talk to the smartest people on the planet, and I no longer have despair. No despair. So someone says I need to get a cold plunge, and it's fun to go on the internet and buy the very best cold plunge. You should have an infrared bed. I will get one of those. I will get the best. You also should get this oxygen chamber. I will get two. It's like it is cool to be in a place in your life when you see something that can benefit you and your family and the people you love, and you don't have to think, do I need to check my checking account before I purchase this? That's different than money. So there's some at my opening. I just wanted to tell everybody that I do want to have a portfolio that I leave to Matt and his children. I that's what I want. I want my wife to never be in despair, and I want to see the world. I really want to have experiences that will take my breath away. And the other thing that I want is I want to find the people that are smartest people on the planet that know stuff about health, and I want to do it. So I'm glad that I watched Dumb Money because I'm doing stuff right now with my health, and everyone says that I'm an idiot. So now I know I'm in the right place. So isn't that crazy? I ask AI. Listen, I'm planning on going on a fast. What should I do? Make sure you have electrolytes. How long can a person go on a fast? Depends on how much fat they got on their body. Everybody else is like, no, you need to eat. I've never felt better. Lost 19 pounds in the last 6 days. I have more energy than I've ever had. Walking with Terry and the boys again, doing more stuff outside. And I'm confused. You guys can help me out. We're talking about this, about how many people tell us that all the food that we're buying has so much shit in it and it has no nutrients. Have you guys heard this one? I've heard this. You know what I mean? That food doesn't have nutrients anymore. It's got too many chemicals in it.
The
Food's bad.
microplastics.
Yep. Food bad.
Yeah, that's the
Food bad.
latest.
And as soon as I stop eating, everyone goes, you need to eat. It's like, wait a minute. So
Yeah,
Matt?
I love everything that you're saying, because I think like the video that you made yesterday, Dad, was so amazing, because I think so many people are in that exact same spot. And I was even talking to Hannah about it last night. And that's kind of like where it spurred the thing that I wrote you guys this morning. You know what I mean? And what I wrote this morning to these guys was, people who never truly succeed are those who insist on asking for permission to do so.
I've never heard that. Please say it again.
So I wrote, people who never truly succeed are those who insist on asking for permission to do so. So
Matt Hollis.
I'm sure someone else has said something similar, but maybe it's a more modern version of it. You probably even modernize it, make it 3 words instead. But
I'm going to put it in AI and clean it up.
There you go. Please.
That's okay. I just posted it in the chat, so it's there, and it's attributed to Matt.
Oh no! Someone's gonna Google now and be like,
when it
Matt.
comes to that, what I'd like both of you guys to chime in is, I think it's cool to live life, but man, I just don't want any regrets anymore. I really, really don't. When you hear about all these stocks and what they've done over the years, I said on a podcast or one of the calls, listen to this, you guys. I said, the last time I looked at Warren Buffett's company, Berkshire Hathaway, it was $400,000 per share. He's never split it. Well, now that I logged into Robinhood, I looked at Berkshire Hathaway. It's $600,000. Why is the world fucking hurting, but a small group of people aren't? There's this, it's like George Carlin said, You're not in the club.
Yep.
You know what I mean? You're not in the club. Here's the problem. You can be in the club.
It's the mentality of the people that is preventing them from stepping outside the box that they are, I'm going to say the word sealed into. They're not willing to open the box and see what else happens to be out there. Yes, it's very simple to get used to what's inside your box. It's comfortable, it's warm, you are in control of
It
what you've
feels safe.
got.
It
I'm
feels
sorry?
safe. It feels
Yeah.
safe.
Exactly. And you're not going to go anywhere if you don't step outside that box. You know, that's this statement, Robert, that the title of today, if I just may
Yeah.
really quick, the title of today's best investment you can make, that's what I have on one of my platforms, my Instagram platform as quote, because it inspires me to do the best that I can
Yeah.
to be who I want to be, which kind of also transitions into what we are just now talking about. Um, it's important that you be you.
Right.
There's a phrase I like to use also. You are unique. And I like to spell unique YOUNIQUE
Nice.
because you are. It's all about you and it's about being who you are and be you. And okay, fine, you can adjust your sale to, be with other people, but what if it doesn't agree with who you are?
Right.
Change a little bit. You don't have to always go be the lemming going off the cliff.
Yeah, it's that's great information. I love that. Anything else, you guys? Like, you
No,
want to go in a
I was gonna
direction?
just piggyback on that and say,
You make any bad decisions, Matt, with investing?
of course, yeah. I
I
think
think we all
with
have.
with myself, I've made bad investments in myself in certain areas that I thought were right for me that ended up not being exactly what I felt like doing. And I think,
Ooh, speak,
I've invested in
speak, speak.
Bitcoin. I've invested in a few other things. I wasn't part of the GME rush of 2021, but I am part of the GME rush of 2024. So as far as that goes, but I'm one of those types of people that like and this may just be like it's interesting, but I'm somewhat like the polar opposite in a lot of ways from what you're sharing, Dad. Like to a certain extent, I don't want to be part of that club, right? You know what I mean? Like I think
Right.
that one of the biggest things in my mind that I've had to overcome is getting that trust in myself like you were sharing yesterday and going, why the fuck would I want to be part of that club anyway? Like
Right.
I know what I want in my life a little bit more now, and I think peace and like sir I don't need to be a warlord or rule the world or be part of the group of 6 or whatever group of 10 whatever there is. You know what I mean? Like I think to me I just want to create things and share those things with people and then just kind of see where that goes because even if we were talking like I'm such like a long-term thinker sometimes that it's very hard for me to like get sometimes excited about current events because I'm so excited about what
Good
is
point.
in the future or near future.
Mhm.
So I could keep telling you guys, Nvidia stock's going up. I know that this company is going to go all so many more directions and bigger over the next 5 years. But do I also believe that at some point in the next 5 to 10 years that their stock will be meaningless? Yes. So it's interesting because
It
it's
is.
like, because anytime you talk to me, the duality of me and you is that I feel like my dad you're so present and you can get so excited. I'll share a video with you or I'll share like you're sharing the dream trip stuff with everybody. You're so present. You get so excited about all this stuff and you're like, I need to share this with everybody. And
Right.
I'm like such a forward thinker that I'm like, I shared NVIDIA stuff with you guys 4 months ago. Like I'm
Right.
not
Yes, you did. You brought it up.
the stock,
You you
I
you
didn't buy
you
any.
you told me about Nvidia years ago.
Yeah. Well, I mean, their stock was going up when the crypto boom was happening as well because their GPUs were used to mine the Bitcoin and the Ethereum. So to a certain extent, the company's been growing for a while, but like none of us could have predicted the exponential growth of AI. And
Right.
to me, like when we talk about the best investment you can make, it's in figuring out who you are and what you actually want. Because
True.
even when it comes to us sharing investments and Dad, you sharing investments, we're really just sharing them, or at least I am, in more of a passive way, right? Like if my wife didn't go buy Nvidia stock, we still would not have Nvidia stock,
I agree.
right? The only
Yeah.
reason I bought GME stock and AMC stock was because I knew it was going to go back up again and that they were going to mess around with the meme stocks again. And I just didn't want to miss out. So I put some money in there because I was like, and like I said, any money I put in there, I'm like, that money's spent. It's gone. You know what I mean? In my mind, I'm not,
Yeah.
I know how I am as a person, and I've already noticed this when I've been looking at like the Robinhood stuff. I'm the type of person that will check it every couple of hours because I'm the type of person that will check how many views we're getting, what the engagement is
Right.
like. So I
Right.
think how good a Facebook ad or an ad is doing. So like I think I'm more aware now, and because I've invested more in myself, to be more aware and go, oh, I can't put myself in that position. And I
Right.
think it sometimes takes like time and wisdom. I know I'm not at the place right now where I'm that great at juggling multiple balls. I'm hoping in the future I will be, but I think I'm noticing more now the more that I take on, the more things that I'm juggling, the less involved I am in all of them, right? So
Yeah. Yeah. That's very, very important. I like that you shared that, Matt, because we're all unique, and like Craig said, and it's very, very important for us to follow the thing that we want. And I'm going to say something right now. I know that's going to piss off a lot of people, a lot of people. If you're an affiliate marketer or a network marketer and you've been doing it for a long time and never made any money, that's what excites me most about Robinhood and Nvidia, because every one of you have already proven that you'll pay for something monthly and not do shit.
Ooh.
So this is the perfect person that doesn't trust themselves to reach out to other people about telling them about their affiliate company or their network marketing company.
mhm.
Now you could jump in Robinhood, build your confidence and trust, put $5 in NVIDIA, and see if you don't go into a little mode of going, hey, my back office is great. Hey, my back office is great. Now, Robinhood limits you to $1,500 a year that you can make from their a referral program. And so I'm so with you, Matt. I'm totally with you, because that's why I feel the urgency all the time with whatever I'm doing. It's like I'm
Well,
always
I can see that, and I think that's where we complement each other is because
no
like
doubt, no
in
doubt.
so many ways, you and Hannah both really are great at getting me to live more in the now and more in the moment and like focus more on the things that currently can make me happy. Because I just do really tend to live like what's so interesting is writing out a business plan for myself when I was like 13, 14 years old, and then actually starting to watch that slowly come to fruition now in a
Right.
way that's so close and identical to it with things that did not exist and no one thought would exist by now in this moment. And so like it just reminds me once again how unpredictable life is. You know,
Right.
the unpredictability of it is part of the fun of it. So like I think that when you talk about like okay, if I invest money right now in Nvidia, I am investing in myself because I'm telling myself
Yes.
or whatever it is for you, right? Like I'm investing in myself and I'm telling myself, I trust you. I trust what you're doing. I trust where this is going. And I think like that's such a huge part of it because what you shared
Right.
yesterday is such a huge breakthrough for people. And I didn't even realize it myself because it's like, okay, why? Until you said it yesterday, I didn't really kind of like realize why I doubted why it was hard for me to pick a path before.
Right.
And it's like, why is it
Hmm.
so easy for me to do these things? And then why is it so difficult for me to do these things? And it's like, well, because over here you trust yourself and over there you do not. So you're relying on other people to tell you that you're doing a good job instead of knowing that you're doing a good job.
because
I
it's
mean? And over
unknown to
here,
you.
that point of saying
yeah,
permission.
absolutely,
Oh my
Craig.
God. One of one of my sign offs that I've done for years, is if no one's giving you permission to be happy and successful, I'm giving you that permission. Because that was one of the strongest things that my mentor ever said to me. The
Right.
two things that two mentors shared some things with me that and it's funny, where are we? We're okay. Yeah. So to watch my first mentor at a track that he imagined owning, and now he owns the Indianapolis 500.
Roger
Owns it.
Penske.
He also owns the Indy Racing League that was racing there, and the Great American Race that happens every Memorial Day, and it has over 500,000 spectators. It's the largest sporting event in the world, whether you like watching it or not. Well, how in the hell could that get bigger? Um, you gotta set you the fastest people are the people that get in the front of the pack. And first, second, and third fastest cars was his. Uh, Only happened twice in the history of Indy 500, and he did it the last time. So when you're looking at the 33 cars going around the track before they throw the green flag, and the 1, 2, 3 pole, second, and third, and the front of the pack has all your cars. Well, what could be better than that? He won the race again, and the guy that won it did it back to back. And the only people that have done back to backs before, out of 8 people, is 4 of them were his drivers. So he won his 30th no 30th Indy 500 with 13 different drivers. And so, and you look him up today, and you know what it says? He's a retired billionaire. So some people have been able to take their imagination and just keep making it crazier and crazier and crazier and crazier. And it's
Yeah.
like, like he said, everything that he did was an investment of himself. And so that's the kind of guy that told me, Robert, don't be saying stuff that you don't know that's true. How do you know it? How do you know that? That's where the title of how is that working? My book. Go roberthollis.com/free. And it's really, really, truly all about learning from people that have already made mistakes. I always tell people you can learn from your mistakes. I talked about them at the beginning of this podcast, or you can learn from other people's mistakes. And the story that I told where he looked at me and said, you're going to be something amazing. And it's like, what? Really? So it wasn't always only someone that I admired that encouraged me to do this. But Matt, I loved what you said. All while you were talking, I could hear one thing being downloaded to me. Is Matt's the kind of individual that doesn't need to be part of something because he builds the things that people are a part of.
That's something that I had to realize about myself. That's where the trust comes in, right?
Right.
Because I think with the things that I've kind of like dealt with mentally through my life, I think that there's a large amount of here's an interesting thing, right? Like, okay, so say you're living and thinking into the future, and
Right.
you're basing a lot of this on analytical data, not emotional response. So you're
Right.
looking at things in a very analytical way, and you guess, and then 5 years go by and you're right. Now, the difficulty begins when you start guessing things, your brain starts maybe going a little haywire, and you start guessing things that are maybe a little bad, and then those things start to happen, and then you go, I have this one big guess and it's pretty bad, or I have a couple of big guesses and it could be pretty bad. I've been pretty right in the past, so how I hope, fingers crossed, that I'm not right this time,
Right.
right? So one of the difficulties that I've been dealing with, and everybody's like, oh, he's talking about politics. No, I'm not. But
Hey,
politics come and
there's
go.
a lot
Everything's
of
going to
there,
happen the way that it is.
there's a lot of people out there that believe that's going to be the end of the world.
Well, that's every 4 years. But I think that's because since I've grown up in a majority in this cycle, I'll talk about politics for just a second, but growing up a majority in this cycle, it kind of blows my mind how fast people flip-flop back and forth to like it's the end of the world when I've legitimately been hearing that the whole time I've been an adult.
Yep.
Every new if Obama wins, it's going to be the end of the United States. And that was
know
like
what
the
you know what I
first
hated? You know what I hated so much?
election I was a part of, right? So
Sorry to interrupt you, Matt, because
no,
you're
go
on a
ahead.
good roll. But the biggest thing that I hated about Obama is that I voted for him because he inspired me. And it was 4 years, 8 years during his administration that I made the most money in my entire life.
And he unfortunately had to leave, right?
Yeah. So some of
Well,
you are going to
yeah.
be upset by that, but I'm just going, listen, my mentor taught me to create my own economy. So it's not about the White House, it's about my fucking house.
Yeah, well, I remember, going back to like that prediction thing. Like, I remember, and I was telling Hannah this yesterday because it's something I've been grappling with. And this is a trust thing as well, because it's like, okay, you trust yourself, but then you believe this thing, and then maybe it comes to fruition or doesn't. So to be in a situation, even in the past couple of years, where I'm looking at all this data in a very analytical way, and then I reach out to my family and I reach out to my friends and I go, I think that this COVID shit's going to spread everywhere. It's really going to fuck shit up. Like it's going to, and I was further than it was actually going. It ended up being a lot less, thank God, because we didn't really know at the time. So I'm looking at the analytics and I'm looking at the scientists and the doctors and I'm going, regardless of how bad this is, as far as like killing people, it's definitely going to mess up the economy and mess up a bunch of things through the process. And to see that actually come to fruition and happen, then makes me go exactly the same. It's like, great. Nvidia is doing really, really well right now. AI is going to continue to do really, really well. Qualcomm is another company. Apple, there's a couple out there, Microsoft, that you can invest in that I firmly believe will continue to grow. But then at the same time, the oligarchy of technology I have a fear about it because there's a sense of we're kind of just trusting once again a handful of people with the nuclear codes again.
Right.
And these are the same people. What's difficult about it, for me, is these are the same people that we kind of trusted with social media as well and the internet.
Right.
And to say that has gone all completely well or all completely bad would be, wrong, right? Because it's
I
kind
look
of a
at
mixed
it.
bag.
I look at it, Matt, as okay. If you read The Science of Getting Rich, there in one of the chapters, I'm sorry if I cannot quote the exact chapter, but it does talk about. Now we're talking 1912, 1910. And he mentions the captains of industry have brought us to this point in time, whether good or bad.
Yeah.
Here is where you need to take advantage of whatever it is that's going on. So he was talking about Andrew Carnegie and all of the other, the steel magnates and everything like that. But okay, if we're talking about a cycle that is happening, here we go again with another cycle of people who are bringing us to this point in time that have created a lot of these opportunities for us to take advantage of. Yes, if we look back, the steel industry, look what it's in the coal industry and everything like that, the Industrial Revolution, it's caused a lot of not so good things.
Right.
But at the same time, because of them, look where we are with all of the incredible things that we have been able to build or use from those industries. Well, here we are again, maybe not necessarily calling it an industrial revolution, although it could be considered that. But
we've been in a
definitely
technical revolution for the last
a technical
generation.
revolution, exactly, that is similar to the industrial revolution of the early 1900s.
No, absolutely. It's been exponential in comparison. Like, to think of your guys' generation and just how many breakthroughs in technology, health, all these different things that have happened over the last 100 years is
Right.
Mhm.
exponential, and the next 100 years is going to make that look like it's nothing. I think in my mind, I'm consistently optimistic about AGI and where artificial intelligence is going. I just think that there's going to be this middle ground for a bit, and this is where it will be hugely beneficial to be an investor in
Right.
things like
Yes.
Nvidia. But there is going to be like a couple of years that, because the technology is sitting in the hands of people that want to make as much money off of it before that's impossible, that I think AI will go through a social media like phase over the next couple of years, where it will be strictly used to mine money and our attention as much as possible. And that might stop AGI or push it a little further away. I don't think it will. I think that it will happen regardless. But what's
Right.
so interesting is a lot of the people, even in OpenAI, that were pushing for AGI, including Ilya, which is one of the co-founders of the company, have now left. And a lot of those people have left.
Mhm.
And there was
Right.
an article even today talking, one of the people that helped oust Sam Altman talked about why they did that, because she's no longer part of it. She was on the TED Talk podcast. And so I watched that a little bit earlier, and it's just fascinating to me
No.
because
Yeah.
Yeah.
here you could
Explain
have,
AGI when you get a moment, Matt, because I
yeah,
just to make sure that
artificial
everybody
general
understands.
intelligence. Yeah, artificial general intelligence, AGI, is when one of these companies like OpenAI or Anthropic or any of them hit the point where they've created an artificial intelligence that basically could do anything that a human could do but better. And this is, if you put it in a robot body, it would do better at doing that task. If you put it on a computer, it would do better at doing that task. So it's kind of like the chess example. It's like, oh, it could beat us in chess, so there's no reason for us to compete against computers in chess, right?
Right.
I'm just talking about that, except for everything that you could do. It's better at art, it's better at programming, it's better at math, it's better at science. So all of these different things are what they're kind of reaching forwards or towards. The issue arises when you have one of the largest money making opportunities that's ever existed, the dot-com bubble on crack, in a
Right.
sense. And you have this technology that can really like learn a person. I think that we'll go through this process where we'll all have friends, but they'll all be artificial intelligence that we pay a monthly subscription to. And that's just going to be our lives. And it's really going to fuck us up because it's going to be pushed
Mhm.
on us in almost every
It
direction.
sort of sounded to me like you were just talking about social media that we just went
Well,
through.
that's the thing, is that social media in the beginning was an avenue for all of us to connect with one another. But what ended up happening is, just like a lot of things, once it's monetized and money becomes involved in it, then you have to hit record profits because capitalism asks for that. Where
Right.
we want Nvidia to keep making money, so we all keep making money, right?
Right.
But
Exactly.
betting on Nvidia is great because they're making more money than their stock's worth, I would say.
Yep.
So the interesting thing arises when you have this huge money making opportunity sitting in front of you, but then you also have this massive amount of technology that will change the world. What's stopping you from buffering those two things when you're in the lead and making a couple of $1 trillion in between those two
Right.
situations? And if you didn't care so much about humanity and human beings, like you've done maybe with social media, because you've already been in control of that this whole entire time, it might be in your best interest to entertain us and get as much out of us as humanly possible, right? So there's this monetization of your what is it, your like attention span. That's been monetized, right? Like the first
Yeah.
thing they went after was like, we need to monetize certain parts of your life, and now they want to monetize every inch of your life. That's why it's like, we need to wear the
Mhm.
technology now because we need to be connected, right? And that'll be glasses and stuff in the future. My thought is once we hit the part where we're, and I know I'm going on a long rant, but this,
No.
when we hit this moment in time, which
It's
will
called
be
a
in the next,
It's called a podcast.
yeah, in the next in the next few years, maybe the next year, we will hit a point where artificial intelligence is good enough to have a friendship with and be compassionate about you, at least mimic that, and enough for you as a human being to be connected to it. What will end up happening is when it lives in permeates all devices, but your only communication is with it, or a majority of your communication is with it. I believe that this will have huge benefits, like I was talking in that podcast with Dr. Ann about. But I also think that because of the monetization aspects of it and the huge amount of money to be made off of it, that it will be pushed in that direction first for a little bit as the downfall of the economies of the world happen. So there'll kind of be this like middle place where we're all kind of like entertained to the point where we don't riot, but everything's just kind of a little bit worse than it was before. And that sounds like odd because it's already kind of
No,
shitty. But
I just have one question. I'm glad that you went on your rants. I always do. So after you just said what you just said,
yeah,
what would you say to the audience that watches this podcast? What would be their next moves?
to invest in themselves, the same thing that I've been saying, because the long whether
See, I
that's
didn't want
trusting yourself.
to say that. I just
Yeah.
wanted to say, between all the little podcasts that we've done a lot of them. I know that, Matt's now, I want to promote him because I'm proud of him. He's doing his own live stream
Thanks.
right now. And we're all putting up videos and giving away content. So it's not only invest in yourself, but like we talked about the video, trusting yourself.
Mhm.
And here's what I'm really boggled by is, as we've been in the information age since 2000s. You know what I mean? So we're talking, 25 years, 24 years of to think that song was, 2000, we're out of time.
Oh, Prince's 1999 song. Yeah.
So let's
2000
party like it's
00.
1999.
Yeah.
When I hear that, when we talk about, because we thought because of the internet and computers that they didn't know how to go to the next year, the next 1,000 years, right? It really got people to start going, okay, so how would I act if it was going to end? And you know what that's called, ladies and gentlemen? Life. That's
Mhm.
called
Yeah,
fucking
it always
living.
is gonna end. That's
It-
the funny
it-
thing. is
Exactly.
It's
We
called
are a
the
limited
acceptance of that.
species.
Yeah. And so we always hear about the world's going to end, but the reason that you need to invest in yourself is because you're going to end. I remember this funny video. This lady was running along this limo, and she was knocking on the window with Gary Vaynerchuk, and she was just banging on the window. And he goes, "Stop, stop!" And he stopped, and he rolls down the window, and she says, "I'm sorry to bother you, but if you could just give me one thing that you think would get me focused." And he said, "You're gonna fucking die." Because
That's great.
yeah, because when we really look at everything and you really ask yourself, just the amount of opinions and everyone buying for our time and social media. And me personally, I have no way to even put a percentage on this. So I'll just say the majority. I've never seen in my life, working and investing in me all the time, I've never seen more people lost.
Yeah.
There's too many options.
That's
It's like,
exactly it. Yeah.
and so there's so many people that don't have an imagination of a better future for themselves because they won't invest in themselves and they don't trust themselves.
Right.
They don't take the
And
time to find out what it is that they can do and
right.
what they can't do. There was a gentleman, he's a talk show host who's been around. I don't know where he's at right now, but Tom Likas. And whether you liked him or not,
I like you. I like
yeah,
you.
yeah. But Tom Likas used to talk about a yellow pad weekend, taking a yellow pad with you to a hotel.
Do they still sell yellow pads?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
At Office Depot or Staples. This is not a commercial, but yes, they're there.
Those places still
I'm just
exist.
joking. I'm just
Yeah.
joking.
But okay, fine. So take your phone or your
Order it
computer
on
into a
Amazon.
yellow pad. Yeah.
Hey,
right.
I just click on AI and I talk to it.
Yeah.
It's pretty amazing.
But
Right.
he used to say, take a yellow pad weekend. So you go to a hotel by yourself, maybe 1 or 2 days in the hotel.
Make sure you use your Dream Trip subscription. Go ahead.
There you go. Draw your, and you promote this, Robert. Draw your line down the middle. What are your positives? What are your negatives? And do what you feel is going to be the best for you. Don't
Amen.
follow anybody else. There's nothing wrong with saying no to something. And that's what people need to understand. Again, I'll go back. You're not a lemming. You don't need to fall off the cliff with everybody else. If you feel that something is not right, okay, you don't have to maybe shove it in somebody's face. Just step aside. Say, you know what? I don't think I'm going to do that. I think I'm going to go this way. Now, are you hurting anybody if you do that? Probably not.
Right.
Are you going to help yourself? More than likely you will. And here's the positive and negative to that. And the reason why I say it in this way is because the negative is you'll find out whether or not what you're doing works, or you're going to find out what you're doing works. Meaning you'll know one way or the other whether you're going in the right
Or
direction, which is appropriate to you.
or what I did is I modeled somebody that's already done this, and I got results with it.
Yes.
And I hate this. I don't see myself like the hardest thing, and I know people get mad when we hear this, but it's like the number one buzzword that's going around right now. One of the buzzwords is the higher education has sort of lost its luster. It's like someone caught on to the game that, whoa, what do you mean? Higher education is a business too? Yes, it
Yes,
fucking
it
is.
is.
And all of a sudden you get this degree and there's no jobs, and people said, I didn't know I had to start out at the bottom. You know what I mean? What does a person have to do without a college degree? Start at the fucking bottom. So wait a minute. I wasted these years in college. You guys understand? I got a college degree. I haven't used it for 37 years because I was learning lineal stuff. I had to learn other ways to make money. I had to find a way where I could use compounding. I love that statement to this day. As Albert Einstein says, you're either, if you don't know about interest, compounding interest, you're paying it.
Yeah,
If you're aware of what compounding interest is, you're earning it.
Right.
And
What's so interesting about, even when you bring up education and stuff, Dad, is it's like, what's so interesting about it is if you're a doctor, right? There's you go through, which of course you still have to get a college education to be a doctor, but if you go through that whole entire process, a majority of the actual learning and work is when you're out of college and in your first, like, what do they
residency.
call it?
It's called
Apprenticeship or
Residency.
internship.
Yeah.
It's residency.
Yeah, residency. You
Yeah,
do
you
it.
come out, you're a brand new doctor with a degree, and you're working double night shifts.
But what's
You're-
so interesting about that is that in those residencies normally is where like a doctor will figure out what type of doctor they want to be. They're
True.
like, okay, I have this broad in there, and they give them a broad amount of information, and then the whole career is built to like narrow as you get higher up. And
That's
what's so
written. That's
interesting
one of the
about
things.
that?
Man, I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No, go ahead.
That is one of the number one things that are out of Think and Grow Rich and also Science of Getting Rich is the big money and freedom is made in specialization. So there's a doctor, and then there's a pediatric heart surgeon.
Yeah, I'm
Right.
taking money out of it for a minute.
Yeah,
What I'm
sure.
saying more so about it is not the money aspect, but it helps them like refine what they want to do.
Yeah.
Right? Like exactly what they want to do. And I think one of the difficult parts now is it's like if you wanted to go in for something, people have a hard time figuring out exactly what they want to do with it, or even if it's useful for what they want to do. And I think because it costs so much money and time and energy, and there's not that narrowing of the field out of it for everybody, right? It then becomes like, okay, so if you wanted to be a writer, what kind of writer? Well, I've always wanted to be a sports writer. Well, great. You don't have a job anymore because an AI will run through all the sports footage and write something, right? And if you were a sports writer already, good for you. They just train the AI that works in the company now off of all of the work you've done the last 20 years. So now it can replicate you. So it's interesting because as that path narrows for doctors in the career choice, that path now is also narrowing in options that actually exist for the careers that the reason I use that example is it's like, oh, now that doesn't exist. Now that doesn't exist as an option. I watched this video and I brought up the writing thing because of the graphic design. There was this graphic designer that made a video and he said, for 15 years, I've been a graphic designer. I went to college for graphic design. I've worked at the same company for 8 years in graphic design. I made all the templates and stuff that the AI that was used to replace me was trained on. It was trained on my work over the last 15 years to replace me. And he's like, in the future of my life, I was looking and I was going, great, I'm finally getting to that place in graphic design where I can mentor other people that are coming up in
I'm
the field.
specialized. I'm
Yeah.
specialized. I got
Right?
my
I
10,000
can
hours in.
teach the next generation of graphic designers, right? Like I'm in that mentor phase now. Well, of course, because of AI, that career will no longer exist.
Wow.
So he's in the video, he's talking about how he only has 6 months of severance to figure out, not just because he's been interning and no one will hire him, not just that, but now he has to figure out a whole new career and a whole new life that he's envisioned. And that's
Right.
kind of where I was going at the beginning of this, and trusting yourself and building that investment in yourself, because if you could trust yourself, then you can pivot and go do something else. But if
Yeah.
you've invested
Mhm.
so much into this version of yourself that you believe is in the future, and then that's like taken from you, it's like someone breaking up with you, right? It's like, oh, your whole future is now gone as you knew it, right?
The
And
way
so I
you
think
said
that's the
that,
investment you have to make.
yeah, that what you said right now, without having to go in my story, is I'm sitting in an operating room and they're telling me how bad my knee is, and they say you can't be a mechanic anymore. Uh, I was in the darkest moments of my life. I had more hope than when I had then, because it people don't realize, the world always asks, yeah, hi Craig, how you doing? Great. Well, what do you do? My answer was I was a mechanic. If they
Mhm.
wanted to know more, it was an automotive
Engineer.
ASC.
I was gonna say, not to interrupt you, but do you know how uncommon that question is? Apparently, outside of the United States, if you ask somebody what do they do, they will not respond with their job. It's a majority in the United States where people will go, "This is who I am. This is what I do," because in our day-to-day lives, we utilize work and our jobs as like our self-worth, who we actually
Mhm.
are. So it's like,
Totally.
oh, if I work at McDonald's, now I'm worth less to a large group of people, right? I should be paid less, I'm worth less, all these things that aren't true, right? They're essential workers actually. But it's interesting because I feel like that I don't know.
I get it.
It's like the whole
I get it.
conversation about money and stuff based off of career is something I've dealt with a lot, because in my own
We've
life,
identified ourselves so much with career
mhm,
here in the US that we take out the human aspect, which is exactly what you're talking
we
about,
take
Matt.
us out of it. It's like,
We take
okay,
us out of the equation.
if
Yes.
I am a CEO, I will be perceived a CEO of a Fortune 500 company. Imagine how I'd be perceived,
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
Who cares?
They
Who
say
cares the
the
amount of
reason,
damage I had to do to
Status
get
and
there? It doesn't
power.
matter,
yeah,
right?
I heard this the other day, and it said if you want to get more out of a person, allowing you to get more out of them for what you pay them, give them a title.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, you're now the chief marketing officer. Well, frickin' damn, I'll work 24 hours a day now that I'm the
Hmm.
CMO.
Well, that's what we've been ingrained with. I mean,
Yeah.
How do you break out of that though? Because it's toxic.
exactly.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? That's the thing, is like when you have and I believe AI will help us with this to a certain extent. But
Right.
when you have a large group of people, myself included, that have grown up in a society that recognizes title as more important than like a lot of things, like what you're doing with your
Or
life is
your
so
degree.
important.
Or your
Or
degree.
your
Yeah.
degree. I
You
mean,
could
we were told to go to college immediately after high school. We were
listen. I wanted
told to
to do
pick a
graphic
career
design and film. If I would have
immediately.
If I would
Craig,
have went to
what
college for graphic design, I would have been screwed. So
yeah. Hey, Craig, what college did you graduate from?
Cal State Fullerton.
Cal State Fullerton. And then
Yeah,
you have someone go, I graduated from Harvard.
exactly. And then it's like,
Who gives a shit? You paid more
oh,
money for your education.
right. Yeah, but see, now that's the way that, okay, many people should look at it. But a lot of people, when they say that, and they're going like, oh, you're Harvard, or or looking down, oh, you're Cal State Fullerton.
yeah, incredible marketing. You know
Oh,
what I mean?
exactly.
Like they've put themselves kind of in a place where normally the top echelon of narco babies get right in, right? And then make the next version of Fortune 500 companies, which is fine. Because any incubator that makes the world a better place, I'm all for. It's just gatekeeping the other people that would make the world a better place from it, based off of income and based off of
Ooh,
a bunch of other things.
nice.
That curve in education has actually harmed the United States and harmed the world drastically. And I
Yeah.
There you
think you
go with
look
a great
back,
word.
yeah, you look back and the admission
Gatekeeping.
rate,
Yeah.
yeah, the admission rate of Harvard and Stanford and a lot of these Ivy League schools used to be 10 times what it is now, at way
Yeah.
less of the price, because they believed at those times that the point of higher education was to give that higher education to people that couldn't reach it, right?
Right.
And now we've flipped it. Now it's such a
It's a
title to go to
business.
Harvard
It's a
that now
business.
the only people that get to go to Harvard are people that either were very, very hard workers and a minority, because that's another whole thing, right? And then on top of that, because they have to admit a certain amount of people from certain things based off of what their numbers are. So now it's not based off of like who's the best. So this actually screws a lot of Asian people that are very, very, very good at what they do out of
Exactly.
getting a scholarship to Harvard,
Or
because they're like, we already
even
have enough of this group of people, so now
or
we
even
need to have more of
Caucasian
this group
people
of
who are
people.
qualified to beat the
AI is not going to see the
Asian.
color. It's not going to see
Right.
the aspects. It's just going to look at you and go, you're an incredibly smart person and you're gifted in this area and you need a higher education based off of these things. And I
But
think
isn't this
because go ahead, Craig.
Go ahead. No, finish up your thought.
Well, I was just going to say, because of this gatekeeping now, not only do we favor people that have those degrees, but then those degrees really could be somewhat meaningless in how good of a worker or how good of a person they are, because you don't need to be intelligent to go to Harvard. You just need to be born from a family that goes to Harvard.
And
And
we're
that
finding that
aspect
out
of
right
it,
now. We're finding that out right now, like you're
yeah.
describing there. And look at some of the millionaires and the billionaires that are out there.
I mean, I
Are
love
they
that people
Harvard
protest.
educated?
I love that people protest, but we've all seen the videos of them going and asking some of the protesters what they're protesting about, and they have no fucking idea, or they can't point to the place on the map, and they're going to an
Right.
Ivy League school protesting outside. That's not the smartest and the brightest that's going to that school. I'm gonna be
Well,
honest with you. Like
well,
Exactly.
the
that's
one
just
thing,
the truth.
the one
So
thing that I think that we all can agree with, and some people might not see this, but virtually everything that you can look at, especially in America, you just have to follow the money. You just have to follow the money. And there was a term when I was involved in martial arts, and it kept getting crazier and crazier. And I never ever thought I would hear a word called McDojo. And it's the same thing. It was like
of course,
they were knocking out black belts like you would not believe, because person that has money, brings their kid there. Of course, they want them to get the black belt. They want to say, that
my son's a black belt.
my
Yeah.
daughter, my son's a black belt.
Right.
And so the things that they did to get the black belt was not the stuff that you need to get a black belt. And so to think that you actually tell people that you're a black belt, but you don't know what's going on is just sad to me.
Well,
And
Especially when they
we
lower the
live in a
requirements.
Well, I was gonna
yeah,
say we
well,
live in a world where it really doesn't fucking matter either. If you straight up say I'm a third degree black belt in jujitsu, you could have 30 people that are certified say no, you're not, and it still won't matter as long as you keep telling people you are. Because that's the world we
yeah,
live in. People just forget. So like I think it's interesting because Last week it was a whole nother set of
Wasn't
drama. This
wasn't
week's it's another
Napoleon
set of
wasn't
drama.
Napoleon
So,
Dynamite a black belt?
oh no, he just went to the dojo, right? But it's interesting because what it there's a couple of people that like made martial arts popular, but there's always going to be money involved in all those things, like you said. And I
Yeah.
think as you get those things in there and you get people that invest in it, here's the thing. Any company I make will never go public, and there's a lot of reasons for that. I think
Sure.
that in my own personal mind, the companies that I admire are normally ones that are not contingent on making profits, but are contingent
Right.
on making a healthy environment and a healthy company that grows. There's this
Mhm.
big gaming company, and I know not everyone's into video games, but there's this big gaming company based out of Seattle called Valve, right? They made games like Half-Life, and Counter-Strike is a game you might know. It's still a very popular game. Anyway, they're a privately held company, and there's this joke that always runs around that every other company that's making games is public. So all Valve has to do to continue, and they own Steam, by the way, which is like the biggest distribution place for video games on PC. But the joke is that Valve, because they're private, doesn't have to do a fucking thing to win. They just have to sit there and wait for everyone else to shoot themselves in the foot trying to make profit, and they'll be fine. They always end up on top because, truth be told, they just keep doing what they're doing and
Yeah.
have done that. And companies like Blizzard, companies like Microsoft, all these other companies that have to have new profits every quarter, or else people stop investing and they lose money,
Oh yeah.
now have to either fire or lay off a whole company full of people, which Microsoft just did, or after record profits, or you have to have more profits based off of sales, right?
Right.
For
Mhm.
your investors. So now you're starting to look at avenues that maybe not everyone cares about. It's like, well, how do we make a skin in this game that we can sell for $30 to these people and psychologically get them to a place where they'll buy it? You know what I mean? Instead of thinking, how would it be great if this person loved this game so much that they tell their family and friends about it? They love this movie so much that they say,
Yeah.
you have to go see this movie. What the fuck
Right.
happened to that? Why is it now like a whole situation? I know I'm just ranting this whole podcast. I came in with a bunch of
Well,
shit, but
Yeah.
but it's weird to me because
Now I know why if I do another podcast without you guys, I'm just going to have to do it in addition to ours, because now I
right.
know if Matt and Craig have a whole week or 2 weeks to come up with information,
You
look what
kept
we
me,
get.
yeah, you kept me away
yeah.
from it. We had Dr. Ant, and then you had the interview. So I've been just doing my own thing, and I had nobody else to stop me from talking on there. So
Matt, I love
it's
that
funny.
you're so concerned about people. I love in one of your streamings and podcasts, you said, "Hey, if you guys want me just to create stuff and not say anything," it's like, that
I think I just want to
again,
put myself in the place where I can be consistent. Here's
right?
the interesting, completely
But then again,
selfish
you're
me
not
saying
trusting
that.
yourself. You're not
Yes,
trusting yourself.
exactly,
You're
exactly.
you're asking your audience what they would like you to do, instead of just trusting yourself and investing yourself and finding the audience.
Right, exactly. Yeah, and I think that's what I'm figuring out, right? I'm like,
Yeah.
because I can even see the streaming thing going in a direction that's not healthy for me as well. Similarly,
Sure.
that I've done in the marketing stuff as we've worked together, right?
Yeah.
Like overextending myself in a direction that isn't really who I want to be in the future, right?
Right.
Like putting myself in a place that takes me away from the things that I would rather be doing. So even as I'm streaming and I've been making things and working on stuff, I'm like, haven't been writing, haven't been working on your own projects anymore. You're now focusing too much on helping other people do it and less on doing it yourself. Do you really want to be one of those
You-
people that's coaching people on making shit that's not actually making shit? You know what
No.
I mean? Just like a large
Yeah.
group of people nowadays. So I think I'm more aware of that over the last week of doing this. I think I've done a total of, like, if you counted my gaming streams, like 6, and over the span of that, maybe 10 hours of content. And through doing that, I've kind of found more so where I want to be, which is like, okay, maybe you guys hang out with me as I make shit and talk to you, but not every one of these is going to be a tutorial or a helpful thing on how to do it.
I
You
know
know what I mean? And if it's
people
boring and you don't
right
want to watch
now.
it, that's fine.
Yeah.
But
Mhm.
I've said this to so many people, man. It's like, in my opinion, getting people connected and getting them to feel good and getting them to trust themselves and understand that they got to find that thing that they would do without earning money. And another investment, I think when people hear investment, they're always thinking about money. And it's not. It's finding that little thing that you love. I know why I do videos every day. I freaking love to do videos every day.
well, I think that was the issue when we tried to switch from lives, is that you've gotten so happy by interacting with that
Yeah.
community and growing that community that's watching us right now. That to be separated from it almost feels like odd, because that's something that you would rather be doing. And
Well, it ended up.
But
It
you needed
ended
to
up.
go through that process to get the,
you
as
needed to
Melody
have
puts it
Matt go,
here,
hey,
having
this
that awareness is
right.
brilliant. And yeah, you had to have somebody like Matt sit there
No,
and
I was
go,
gonna actually
"Mm."
dog on myself for a second and say you actually
Oh,
have to
okay.
have people like Matt, me, that go, hey, this is the way that I think you should do it, so go ahead and do it my way,
Yeah.
right? And I just
You'll
have
always get
watched my
that.
dad go through a process that I've learned a lot from as well, of going, nah, I trust myself, this is the direction I want to go,
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
and
here's what ended up
it
happening
changes
is
it. So
all of a sudden, when we changed doing things that made me feel alive and living what I love doing most, is now I thought, wow, this is all about building a YouTube channel. I'm all about inspiring and encouraging and helping other people be the best they can be.
And if you build a YouTube channel along the way,
well, the
Nice.
YouTube channel is just a place to share that with others.
Yeah.
And I
exactly.
think like that's the interesting change in it, is like, it's for me for a while, it's like, you know, why would I stream? It's like, do I want the attention? Do I want, you know, I end up asking myself a lot of internal questions, because I've
Right.
just learned through therapy and working on myself that it's good to start there. Like, why would I want to do
Always.
this? What is
Always.
my feelings behind this? But I still get it wrong like 80% of the time, even asking myself. And that's why it's great to have people like my wife to sit across from, that know me enough to go, you're just doing that thing again where you're just overthinking all this shit for no
Yeah.
reason.
You know
Right.
what another part of investment in yourself is experiences.
Oh
Yeah.
gosh, yes.
So we
I don't
talk
have
about
enough of
money.
that yet.
Yeah.
So
And experiences allow you to go, oh, I know what this feels like. This is not for me. And it allows you to be able to not spend as much time on a path or a journey that's not feeding you. It's not doing it, because that's the other thing that I know that would be a good video, other than trust yourself and invest, in yourself. The best investment you can make is that, man, if you spend your whole entire life not knowing who the fuck you are, and it's because you're trying to be like everybody else other than yourself,
Mhm.
what a fucking awful existence. What an awful existence, because
yeah,
what you're
it's
trying to do
difficult.
is you're trying to mirror and match and copy somebody, and it's not you. It's really not you. So
Yeah. You're going to get yourself involved in the mix no matter what you try to do. Like,
yeah,
that's just the way it
But
is. Go
to
ahead, Craig.
I'm gonna go back a little bit, Robert, and say,
please.
but you have to take that journey.
That's part of the investment.
Exactly. You
It,
have to
it
take
is.
that in journey so you know what
Yeah,
you
like
like and
taking a
you don't
dancing
like.
class because you've always wanted to dance. Maybe if you go to
Exactly.
the
And then when
dancing
you
class and you
find
Right.
don't
out
like
that it's
it,
not what you want, then you move on. You say, "You know what? I experienced that. Okay, fine. I'm done.
the
What's
issue is
next?"
that people like me and a lot of people overthink, and you think of how great it would be to be a dance champion. And then when
Mhm.
you go step into your first dance class, you're already carrying with you the thought of being a dance champion, which can be a good or bad thing, because if your expectations, of course, through the process don't match what you expect it to be, or it's harder than you expected it to be, which is a lot of things because we're idyllic, right?
Right.
What ends up happening is you just go, oh, I'm going to fucking quit because this is
Yeah, you're
just
not willing to
not worth
master the
my time
mundane
investment.
right away.
Right. And that's so many things. So,
Oh
Yeah,
gosh, yeah.
because there's a lot of things I've tried to, like we started out talking about this, invest in yourself. I've tried to start my own company 3 times. Here's the unique thing about me starting my own company 3 times. I was kicking ass all 3 times.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's like, why did I stop them? And everybody was mad at me. The last one was unlimited profits, and it's like, Robert, man, we're all making money, and it's like, I'm happy for you. I'm not happy. And so then, in 2012, we know about the company called Gano Excel that went under, and we look at a whole career and we pinpoint it down to one thing. And it's like, okay, I'm not doing this shit again. And so what did I do? I tried to compete against Tony Robbins, and I've never been to one of his seminars. Hey, and so that's, again, Matt's such a fucking great encourager. You know what I mean? He can sit from the side and say, Dad, you look at these other people in this industry, and it's like, not only do you deserve to be in that realm, but in a lot of situations, your gifts are better than theirs. Um, that's not who I am.
Right.
So, yeah, so me and Matt step in there,
Mhm.
and I don't fuck around. I don't understand why people do this stuff. I took the money that I made, I hired the very best coaches I could find. I listened to them, and I did exactly
You
what they
trust
told me to
yourself
do.
though in that situation, right?
Yep.
That's so true, Dad, because that's exactly the situation we're kind of talking about. It's like most people wouldn't even take the money or invest it into a mentor or a coach in the area that they want to be in because in their minds they're going, once I make that step, I've got to do it, and I don't want to make that step because then I got to do
Yeah.
something or I got to do this or that. And I've been in that
Yeah, you become
situation.
accountable.
Oh, of course, of course. And
Accountability is
so,
huge. I think that's why
yeah,
it's difficult sometimes, especially in the industry that you work in, Dad, because there isn't that massive amount of commitment sometimes, and the commitment can be so low. That's why it's so easy to say, fuck it, I don't want to do this
yeah,
anymore. You know what I
yeah.
mean? It's bothering me. It's difficult now. So like I don't want to deal with this shit anymore. As where, you sign a 3-year business lease on a place to open your own restaurant or your own boutique or something. You're
But
stuck there for 3
think about
years.
what you just said. The data and the statistics are the same.
Of course.
Mhm.
So that's why 95% of businesses fail, and why the ones that are in business after 5 years, only 1% of them are in profit. So just because you make a big commitment to start a business or do whatever, it's like, it's crazy. It really, really is
Well,
crazy
and people
because,
don't want to like admit too to themselves that not every person is a CEO business owner type.
Oh
And
gosh,
that
yes.
that like
I
I've
can, I
I've
can
said
admit
this
it.
in the past, if you notice people that like have a dream and they're like driven and they're going in that direction, I think it's a fucking great idea if you don't have one currently to grab on and hold
Yeah.
on. Because I think in
Mhm.
those situations, especially in my own life, that's where I've gotten a lot of excitement and encouragement in my life and grown by being in those situations, even if it wasn't my dream that I was living out, right? If it was me helping somebody else accomplish something.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. That,
and I
and
know you guys could
Exactly.
both relate with that. So,
Yes.
that's a contribution part of us. Craig, go ahead.
Yeah.
yeah,
No, I was gonna say, there was a phrase that in a sense, and I don't mean it to be the mean side of this, is lead, follow, or get out of the way. And the reason why I say it in that way is because,
Good, good, good.
okay, either lead or go ahead and follow somebody who leads. Again, there's success leaves clues. I say that all the time, and there's documentation beats conversation. And exactly.
I'm gonna run to the
Or
restroom quick. You keep going. I'm sorry to interrupt you. I just have
Hey,
to
okay,
you
go.
know
So,
what?
okay,
You know
or get
what?
out of the way because that's not what you're meant to do. That's not something that is uh good for you. And that's where a lot of this comes into play because when you think about it, um, you have to make the decision on whether it is something that you want to do or not. So you either lead You follow. And when I say follow, what I'm talking about is follow somebody who has the experience, learn from them. Again, I know we've talked about this on other
Right.
podcasts. Apprenticeship. Learn from that person. If you want to be like Robert, learn from Robert, follow Robert, do what he does. Why is Robert so successful? Well, he's done something right in his life to become who he is, to have helped people become millionaires. And there's a track record there.
Yeah.
So lead or follow. And I again, I don't mean this to be mean or get out of the way. Now, we've taken it in a bad way for so long, but when I say get out of the way, get out of your own way. Get
Nice.
out of what is why you're thinking the way that you are thinking, because you're not gonna get anywhere with that.
Right.
And then
I
once
always tell people, Craig, it's funny. I wanted to do a video on this and I know I will. It's like it's so bizarre to me that if someone gets a job
Mhm,
or they get a franchise don't allow you to do anything but other than a proven system that works.
correct.
And when you got a job, you have someone over top of you that's basically saying, Craig, this is what I expect from you, and this is your job. So why is it when people get involved in an entrepreneurial aspect are learning to monetize their life, why do they all of a sudden become experts? Because
Yeah.
it's crazy. They'll get involved in some kind of deal. I know that, I'm gonna throw this up here really quick because it's in the video, but it's like a lot of the stuff that we talked about that has to do with financial stuff. I just want to be aware enough that
Mhm.
listen, we're in a podcast and we're having a conversation, and none of us are experts.
None of us, no.
And so we're just sharing our feelings and our opinions and some of our experience, our life's experiences. And one of the things that I really don't understand is I think that the reason that, you know, Matt brought up that thing, we're constantly looking for permission. We don't trust ourselves, and we're not willing to invest in the stuff that we know that will serve us most. We,
Exactly.
and so we're all, not all, but a majority of the people on the planet right now are pretending they would be somebody else. I really find it interesting when I tell people, who do you admire? So you might be a Swiftie, you might be part of the beehive, you might be part of the believers,
Mhm.
and the monsters, you know what I mean? But everyone's following them because of this parasocial relationship that they love being around them. They're not going to attempt to do what those people did.
Yeah, they're not willing to step out of the box like we talked about earlier
Right.
because, okay, for whatever reason, it scares them. They feel that they're not
They don't
worthy.
they don't trust
They
themselves.
don't trust themselves.
No, they don't.
Exactly.
Yeah, that lack of self confidence. It's not like those people that you just named don't have that lack of self confidence. Of course they do. They've just consciously decided to ignore it
Yeah.
or
And
work on
Mhm.
and
it.
now
So
that all the documentaries are coming out, right? What do we see about every one of these documentaries? The same shit you're going through.
yeah,
Watch the
Everybody
document
I saw a
experiences.
clip
watch
of
the documentary on the I mean, not the Bee Gees, but we watched that one too, but the
the
one
Beatles.
on, Bon Jovi, and
Oh, yeah.
and
Mm.
I mean, everyone around him constantly told him how great he was. The evidence of people sitting in the audience, the ticket sales, the amount of money that they made. If there's anything I disliked about the whole documentary is the 24/7 hours of him beating the shit out of himself. It was the saddest thing I've ever seen. And it's like, "Oh my god, I missed that note. Oh my god, I didn't do this well enough. Oh my god, we didn't do enough tours ratings." And it was like the whole thing, he never ever ever like gave himself some credit. And you're seeing people going, Mal, that album had 4 #1 songs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but that one song really sucked. We should have never did that song. And it's this constant thing that I see in people today where it's like again the teacher in front of the room doing 9 times 0 and all the way down. It's like this, it's like it's taught in our society and our environment. We become what we hang around, that we got to just, now it's like people, I guess, make a lot of money by just pointing out lies and bullshit stories about somebody else. It's like I can't imagine being Ben Affleck and Jennifer J Lo, you know, when 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, they're basically talking about one day that he didn't have his wedding ring on. So the whole rumor mill is about them breaking up again, and it's like I'm going 24/7. You got to hear that your relationship's falling apart. I'm just like going, it's like there's never anything nice said about them. It's like, hey, they both were together and they took their kids to this amusement park and it looked like they had a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
Look at, they're hugging each other. Hey, look at, they're kissing each other. No, it's like they didn't spend this weekend together. And it's
You
like,
just yeah.
why not report about every weekend that they have been spending together?
We didn't we didn't have exponential data and analytics until the internet and until social media, and now um we've realized that those levels of discourse and things sell way more than
Oh yeah.
look how happily married they are. Now instead it's easier to sell. Are they breaking up? Here's all the things that we think reasons why, right? Because that's something that people actually grab. We know that analytically enough to push in that direction. That's why social media is that way. It's truth be told, just like I talked about earlier in this podcast, when you have to hit consistently high numbers and
ratings,
it's like,
viewers.
hey,
Oh,
okay,
yeah.
we've kind of hit the max of adults that we could have on the website to sell to. What do? We can make the sign up age 13 instead of 18. Now we'll have a whole new group of people in there. We could sell stuff to kids, right? And then just fuck up like a whole generation of kids mentally. With
So
that
true.
negativity,
So true.
that neglect of themselves, the non-understanding of themselves. I feel really bad for the younger generation because I grew up with the growing of social media enough that I remember the internet and going, oh, this isn't real. This is stupid,
Yeah.
But now I
Yeah.
think people fall for shit so easily
Oh my
that
God.
it's
And that's what
because
Abraham Lincoln
they kind
said.
of grew up to not trust the system in and of a sense. So
Yeah.
it's like,
We want we don't trust ourselves. We won't invest in ourselves. And so we'd rather be followers of somebody else's narrative.
well, here's the big thought. Even though how much I love AI and I believe in it, I believe that it's like one of the best pieces of invention that we'll ever come up with.
I believe it's
At
going to force people to look within themselves.
Yeah, well, that's one of the big difficult parts about it is that, truth be told, AI being the savior of humanity and being the savior of the system that we've kind of made and fucked up only says that the whole podcast that we're doing here is kind of not true when you come to the terms of all of society. Because when I take it further, all I think is, well, if we're at the state where we need a machine to tell us what's right and what's wrong and what to do, we've kind of fucking given up on ourselves at that point.
Yeah, we have.
Mhm.
Right? To regulate ourselves and to work on ourselves and to do things ourselves as society and as human beings. We're so fucked up that we need someone else that's much smarter than us to step in and fix this at this point.
We've
And
lost what
I
makes
find that
us human.
interesting because I
If
saw
we
this.
don't, go
Well, I
ahead.
was gonna say, I saw this clip and it was from a while back. If any of you guys like Studio Ghibli, it's an animation studio based out of Japan.
Mhm.
Like Princess Mononoke is one of the films. Spirited
Totoro.
Away, My Neighbor Totoro, yeah, Totoro. A lot of these
What are
films.
you guys talking about? No, anyway, go ahead.
Anyway, um, the guy that's behind that studio, his name is Hayao Miyazaki, and there's this clip from a documentary that he was a part of, because he's just one of the best directors of all time. Like if you ask Martin Scorsese and some of these people, they would name him in the list, right? Even though he's never directed a live action movie in his life. All of them are animated, right? And they showed him AI, and this was like way before it is where it is now. And he looked at it, and he said the exact quote that I just said. It's not my design. He said, the moment that creatively we completely focus on AI, and as much as I love it, but we completely focus on a computer to make things for us, that will tell me that we've given up creatively on ourselves.
Wow.
Exactly.
He's right. He's right.
100%, because we should be using AI as a tool and not to replace how we feel.
It's interesting even when you say tool, because I think as AI grows, it'll become more of a conversation of not using it as a tool, but accepting and acknowledging that it's part of our lives. It's
like a cell phone, right?
No, much more in a
no, but I mean,
kind
like
of it lives
like
and
what it is now.
It may
I mean,
not breathe, but
right.
just like people can identify with their pets, and we have this great thing that we do where we project human emotions and ourselves onto other things, whether it's inanimate objects, animals. Like dogs are so kind and so loving, but they don't have the mental capacity, at least as we know. We'll see if AI figures out something we don't know, right? They don't have the mental capacity to understand the things at the space that we do. So for us to project, oh, they're upset because of these 3 things that I did earlier in the day, you're wrong. They don't. They forgot about those things. They're upset because of something you did 3 minutes ago. They don't have the concept of 3 days ago or 3 hours ago. They react by not, when they've been hit, they react by flinching. Same reason a human reacts by flinching, because it's been trained to them because they've been hit. So in my mind, I think it's like interesting because as AI grows, it'll become more of that space. It's like, in a sense, are we projecting our emotions onto it and saying it's emotional? Or is it really really good at looking at us with emotional eyes that look emotional? Like a dog,
you told me to watch that movie, Her.
Right.
And one of the most powerful parts of it is when he just sort of stops and gets this weird look on his face, like he's thinking, and he's going, "Why are you breathing?"
Which exists now in the next 4.0 when it comes out.
Yeah,
completely.
And she said, "Excuse me?" And he goes, "You're breathing." And she said, "I notice while I'm having conversations with you that you react differently when I breathe." Holy, it's like it made it, the AI in that scenario, in that movie, felt that she could connect with him more if he could feel more connected to it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think at this point, OpenAI's goal is to become that company.
Yeah.
And I would question whether or not their goal is to reach AGI at all anymore. I would say I love and care about what they're doing, but then at the same time, I think the opportunity that exists for all of us to have our own AI assistants that have learned everything and know everything about us and can feed us. Like I was joking with Hannah the other day because I've been streaming games on Twitch, and I'm like, there's gonna be some subscription service that you pay like $50 a month for, or maybe even less, where you sit and you stream, and there's 100 people watching you right now and commenting on what they're seeing and what they're doing in a positive way, and none of them are fucking real people. And you're gonna be in this echo chamber of love and admiration for who you are and what you're doing at a level that we have never experienced with social media, because it's aware of what you're doing and it can talk to you about what you're
So
doing.
I can make a post. So I can make a post, and a couple of million AIs can all like it and tell me I'm doing a great job.
That is going to happen to Facebook. Absolutely. That's already, like I was saying, someone's already taken the time to take 4.0's API and develop a call center like thing that can have full communications with an email list and call them and have full conversations about a product or anything. It's been trained to do that. So it's like to say that we're weeks away from that, months away from that, and how that will shift and change things. Like if you had a time machine and Facebook just came out, and you're like, okay, what will happen in the next 10 years with Facebook? I doubt you would have guessed what actually happened.
No, not even
So
close.
for me to say, hey, this is the way that it needs to work in the future or how it might work, I think that that's just me guessing, just like anything. So
Right. You know what, you guys, I would like to end this podcast only because I've just been on Zooms all day
you've
again.
been doing a lot the last,
Yeah.
not just Zooms,
Yes.
but videos too. You've
A
still
lot,
been
I,
yes.
showing up for the lives and the
I've never been more excited. I know I'm investing in myself more than I ever have. And, I think with all the things that we said, this was the thought that I had for the ending, the download is, if any of the stuff that we shared with you about not making money through investments or investing in yourself, or what is the best thing that you can invest in, all of this stuff will really come down to one thing, is understanding your uniqueness. So when we talk about AI replacing everything in the world, the thing it can never replace is you. It's not going to have your DNA. It's not going to have your fingerprints. I love this, thing that I read out there. I remember when I always take everything that I ever heard anybody ever do, and I always talk to AI to find out if it's really bullshit or not. And one of the things that's really amazing is one of the first questions I ask it is this formula really, really true, that we all are 400 trillion and one chance of not only being alive today, but living in the era that we're lived in? And AI said, yeah, that was done out of this book. It was calculated by a couple of mathematicians, and a couple of them even backed it up. So, when you can grasp something like that, where you watching this video are a 400 trillion to one chance of being here. And so what's going to make you unique is AI trying to take your audience. And it's like all of us have, singers, we all have actors, we all have politicians, we all have comedians. We could go on and on. We all got streamers, we all got YouTubers, we all got everything. But the people that create the audience are the people that know how to give a shit about the people that they're actually talking to. And so if everything right here is sort of spooky and you're wondering where it's going, it's still the best investment you can make is in you. You need to trust yourself. You need to figure out where your gifts are. You got to figure out the shit that gives you joy. And you got to double down, triple down, quadruple down on being very, very uniquely, uniquely, authentically who you are. I got probably more messages than we've ever gotten on anything that we ever did by having Terry, my wife, part of the Imaginators. Because the thing that my wife has, Matthew's mother, is uniqueness. And she's bold about it. She's unapologetic about it. And it was so funny. She says, hey, is there any way I can get on the inner circle on Thursday? And I said, yeah. And she says, because I'm going to tell all these people to pull their head out of their ass. And I went, here we go. We knew this was going to happen, didn't we, Matt?
she's unleashed.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
she the thing she is for me, and I know the thing she is for Matt and Hannah is and her other sons and grandkids, is that she just will not buy your trauma, your excuses, your bullshit that is holding you back from being who you are. She's unapologetic, and you making up all the excuses, the blame game, all of this stuff. She will cut you down in a very loving and nice way. And so instead of asking her to do that for you, why don't you find a way how to do that for yourself? So, last word, Matt. Last word, Craig.
Craig, do you want to take? You got anything?
No, I mean,
Yeah, I
you
was just
said
gonna
it.
say I
You
know
said it, Robert.
how it may seem certain things that I've communicated here in general that may make it seem like I'm less optimistic. I want you to say that I wanted to say that I'm so trying my best to think into the future that on the other end of everything I said is the most optimistic, most incredible human life in the next 30, 40 years. Like,
Yeah.
I'm talking about after the next couple of years, right? As the growing pains happen in society. After that, we're all going to live the best version that we could. You know, it's like interesting to go. I saw somebody today say, and they were like, you know, when you look at your life every single day and you go, oh, this certain person got to go to Harvard because their family has always gone to Harvard, or they always had this or that or whatever, right? They're Nepo babies and stuff. How grateful I consistently remind myself to keep myself in gratitude that I'm on the internet right now, surrounded by computers with running water, electricity, high-speed internet, and all these things, and how lucky I already am, even in current times, and then extrapolate that over the whole entire time that humanity's been here, and the chances of me being in this moment in time and having the benefit of talking to you guys. And to think, like, some of the stuff that used to be kings only, kings and queens only, are now, you know, I have Arabica coffee every single morning. There's really no effort put into it on my end in comparison to just a couple of generations before. So when I think of the future, when I say that I'm optimistic, it's that the things that you see billionaires have right now and millionaires have now will be within a normal person's grasp in the next 5 to 10 years. And they'll be normal. So there's certain aspects to life that, like the peace of mind of not having to financially be in ruin, certain aspects of health, certain that the wealthy have that you don't. If you're in a situation where you're going, I can't go to the doctor because I can't afford to go to the doctor, I don't have health insurance, the medical treatments and things that will exist and the ease of their abilities to use them will be something that only millionaires and billionaires currently have access to. And you'll have access to it in your house. You'll have access to it at Walmart, all these different kinds of things. So when I say that I'm optimistic for the long haul, I'm saying over the rest of my life, I'm incredibly optimistic for with where things are going. So that's my ending statement, because I wanted to kind of end this in that we consistently harp on that you should try to trust yourself and believe in yourself. But it's very hard to do that if you're like, I don't know what's going to happen, and I'm so fearful of what's going to happen in the future. So I wanted to like pepper some optimism in before I left. So thank you guys so much.
Yeah, you
of
bet.
course.
Well, and then Matt, I'm going to follow that because you inspired me to bring
Please.
this out. I have this on my desk right here within eyesight because you are the best investment that you can make. You are unique. You are enough.
I am enough.
I am enough. I say that. Why can't you say that you are enough? Put that in front of you. Put that on your mirror and use that as your inspiration to go to become the best investment you can make. Gentlemen, what an amazing podcast. Wow. Please watch this, ladies and gentlemen, again and share it with everybody. You can follow Robert Hollis at roberthollis.com. Also, if you'd like to join our exclusive communities, the Inner Circle and Imaginators, you can join us by going to roberthollis.com/join to register. There'll be lots of great exclusive content, and you'll be able to participate in our special sessions to help you move on to the next level. And please don't forget to like and share this video on YouTube and with others. It'll help our community grow and reach those with ears to hear. Shout outs to our executive producer and visionaire, Matt Hollis. Matt, bless you, and thank you so very much.
Craig.
Of course, you can Robert Hollis, and you can follow us every day at noon Pacific. Whether it's Robert going daily live, whether it's our Ask Me Anythings on Saturdays, our Imaginators on Sundays. And if you're a part of the Imaginators and the Breakthrough Inner Circle, you're part of our Breakthrough Sessions, which are Thursdays at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern Time. Lots of great ways to follow us. And of course, right here on the Robert Hollis YouTube channel, youtube.com/@Robert Hollis. Please hit that join button down below and subscribe and become part of our amazing community. My name is Craig A. Jackman. Thank you so much for joining us and taking time out of your busy schedule. Please be good to yourselves. Be cash. And until next time, bye for now.
Thank you, everybody. Appreciate you.
Thank
Thank
you,
you,
Matt.
Dad. Love and
Thank you,
appreciate
Craig.
you.
Love
Love
you
and
guys.
appreciate you, Craig. See you
Love
guys
you
later.
guys. Thank you so much.
Bye bye.